Is it something about Filipinos that are just inherently queer?
100%. I mean, you just have to like go out into the street, and like the last time I was there, I was just kind of like walking through Manila, and then just like at every single tricycle stand, there's like a karaoke machine, and just like these people like belting out
Celine Dion.
Yeah, Celine Dion, Frank Sinatra, everyday like tricycle driver with this incredible voice, or these like, you know, random shoppers in SM or Robinsons just like walking by with their shopping, and then, you know, you're being like, ate, like come sing a song. And she's like, oh God, do I have to? And it's just like, what?
Do you know what I love about that? It's like the complete willingness to rip the band-aid off and wear your heart on your sleeve just for 3 minutes, and then they'll pick up their shopping bag and walk off.
Balance.
And balance.
The sun is just sunning, and like adobo is adoboing. Yeah. And tita is titaing. Yeah.
Chanela, so Chanela thing.
Hey kings, queens, and everyone in between. Welcome to Eastern Honeys. Today we have an amazing, inspirational, sexy guest, Duane Nasis, serving Jose Rizal, serving modern day Filipiniana. And I'm Lynette Mahalika for this episode. Bear with, still getting used to it.
As ever, we'll kick off with a professional bio where we list all your accomplishments.
Oh my God.
And it's long.
Meet Duane Nasis, a queer Filipino-British multidisciplinary movement artist based in London. With a movement background rooted in London's thriving ballroom and voguing culture, Duane explores a diverse range of practices from physical theatre, clowning, cabaret, all the way through to contemporary dance, gymnastics, and even lucha libre wrestling. Duane has since worked with a range of clients from Sadlers Wells, Rina Sawayama to Marvel Studios. Since playing a literal orc in the series Rings of Power and sharing their camp take on The Mandalorian's Jango Fett, Duane has collaborated on 2 short film works with Turner Prize-nominated British artist Anthea Hamilton, both projects exploring themes of queerness and masculinity. Currently, Duane is working on Peach Fuzz, a development program for early career Asian cabaret performers under the Bitten Peach, and Monsieur Sweet and Sour, a cabaret theatre act that explicitly engages with cinematic tropes of Asian men, villainy, and queerness. Today, we'll delve into Duane's journey as a queer Asian artist, discussing the joy of drag, the power of queer joy, and the visual approach to dismantling cultural stereotypes through movement and performance. Duane Nasis, welcome to Eastern Honey.
Oh my God, stop. Thank you.
Please, can you introduce yourself in your own words?
Good morning. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Ako si Duane Nasis. Yeah, I'm a movement artist and physical storyteller.
What does that mean, physical storyteller?
Okay, so I encounter this a lot, like mainly dealing with like HMRC and like tax people. They're just like, define your business. And, you know, it's just like, well, I do everything from like dance to cabaret to, you know, action work in film to like all of these different things. The common thread within all of that is like, I use my body. Like specifically, like not my voice, not my face. It's, you know, yeah, it's this. Do you get me? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just like, well, if those 2 words, like movement artist, physical storyteller, like if that conjures up the right cloud meaning in the other person's mind, then that's, you know, how I would define myself.
Can you tell us a bit about your upbringing and how you started on this movement journey?
So I was born in the Philippines, but I only spent the first 1.5 years of my life there. My mother migrated to the Middle East, where she met my stepdad, who I refer to as my dad because, I mean, I've only ever known him. He was white British. And so we moved there when I was about like 1.5 years, 2 years old. I grew up in the Middle East. We moved around a lot. I went to, you know, several different English curriculum international schools. the last of which was in Dubai. And so like that's the main emirate that everyone knows. Like, oh, UAE, where's that? Oh, Dubai. Ah, okay. So that's where I spent the majority of my formative, like teenage years. And then I moved to the UK. I got a scholarship to study at an arts school to finish my A levels. And then I moved to London because obviously like baby queer is just like, I want to be a big star in the, big city. So yeah, beeline to art school and then just stayed, and here I am like 20 years later.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think I could live anywhere else.
Really?
The movement journey starts like quite late in that. I actually studied to become a photographer in fashion specifically, but then there was a whole bunch of like coalition government legislation that meant that the visa that I was on basically ceased to exist. So they're just like, oh, you have to like either get married, invest £500,000 in a British-owned business, go back to school and study something above the level that you have, most recently achieved. But the time that I needed to fill before I was eligible for indefinite leave to remain was 2 years. And, famously, postgraduate degrees are all 18 months, not 24. And the only one that I could find was like a random philosophy, like research degree that was like exactly 2 years. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to learn how to become a philosopher.
And philosophy is built on a lot of old white privileged men saying things.
Exactly. Like just sitting in a room being like, yes, but like, how does this piece of literature make me feel?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's great that you're talking about your feelings, but also what about like other people? It's not just you, I'd say I had become quite successful as a fashion photographer. There was always something that was like, there's something about this that feels too straining. Like you have to put too much in and get so little out. Yeah, I basically had to like pack away my photography career, kind of like read all these books about, like I'm grossly oversimplifying this whole journey. It was very emotional and like big family fights. But yeah, long story short, that part of my life had to close. I had to like open up this new thing. It wasn't easy because like everyone else in my class were all, like, oh yes, I've been studying Sartre for the past 10 years. And, yeah, like during that time, I wasn't allowed to freelance. So I couldn't even like secretly take on any of my like old freelance clients because these amounts of money would be really like, like first of all, like HMRC would be like, why are you invoicing, when you're meant to have closed your self-employed business? I had to, went into retail, had to find these like other things that nourished me. And dance happened to be one of those things. It wasn't obvious at first. Like I never grew up performing or...
That's so surprising to me.
It's surprising to me too, because now that I'm here, it's like...
Makes so much sense.
Yeah, I can't envision myself as anything other than exactly what I am right now. Don't really subscribe to a lot of like fatalist thinking, where it's like, everything's meant to be, I think these are quite like thought terminating cliches, but I'm just like, yeah, but this was meant to be.
Do you think it's because you were in the Middle East that wasn't something you explored when you were there?
Yeah, very much like, your physicality is policed, your gender is...
It's also policed.
Yeah, I mean, let's say it. Like, even if I wanted to just like hug my friends, it would be like, someone coming in between you, like, no, like physical touch. Yeah, like even between heterosexual couples, like public displays of affection. I'm sure in Dubai now it's quite like liberal, but where we first landed in like Sharjah, like famously one of the most conservative emirates in the country, long sleeves, can't show your like bare arms, your neck, legs, like you famously have to cover up. And so like I learned quite quickly as soon as I approached like puberty era.
Not puberty era.
Famously the most fun of everyone's that, like, oh, like, your body kind of has to start like moving in a particular way. You know, your peers, your classmates, you know, would also start policing you. And so, yeah, I think it's a lot of that, like constraint. Yeah, like physically, behaviorally, not having the language or the peers or the community to be like, you know, come here, like be in this room, like fag out for 10 seconds, you know, like let it all out. To finally have that now, again, I can't imagine any other way of being. And I bring that into a lot of my movement practice, into a lot of the spaces that I occupy, especially because like film and action and lucha libre, like it's all very male dominated, masculine energy. Now that I started having the language and the confidence, self-knowledge to be able to push back against that, I'm just like, I'm going to express myself in exactly the way that I want to. You know, if you want me to kind of like do things like this, I will, but especially within my like more cabaret, like performance, like, and recently like striptease stuff, it becomes like a clowning exercise. Like I'll kind of present you this thing and then throw it back and be like, well, it was all an illusion. I mean, like everything's a performance, everything, like gender's an illusion. So much of identity is performance. Because I know like you all are fashion adjacent as well. Like you understand the construction and presentation of identity.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of your work as a queer Filipino-British artist, how has your identity and your journey shared your approach to challenging stereotypes through your line of work and the different performances?
Going back to my early work as a performance artist, like when I first found cabaret, like this was pre-Bitten Peach, before finding my like, you know, Asian peers within performance. I worked a lot with masks and very much like concealing my Asianness and being like, it should be about the storytelling. You know, and I keep finding that like, you know, people box me into this thing about like, yes, you know, like I really love that Asian story you're telling. And it's just like, no, it was just a story. Yeah. And so I was just like, okay, I'm going to hide behind this mask and they're going to kind of just get like the necessary bits. But then the more that I started performing with my peers in the Bitten Peach, it's just like, why am I hiding behind a mask? Because like I'm on this lineup, we're all Asian. They all know that we're Asian. And I was already creating performances about like racism and but I'm hiding behind a mask. I was like, there's something more that I can say here. I don't know what it is, but then I'd always wanted to do like an In the Mood for Love reference.
Yeah.
Use the music somehow, just because again, like I fucking love film, and that film particularly, like with a lot of Asian people, especially diaspora, was such a kind of like touchstone, watershed moment. And I'd always wanted to do something with Tony Leung's character.
I can see it.
Yeah, and I'd always had like the beginning of this story in my head where it's just like everything's like slow motion and he's watching like Maggie Chung like go up the stairs, and it's just like if you know that, if you get that references, exactly, like, you know, but then if you don't, whatever, maybe it's not for you. But then I don't know, like something happened. I think I was watching Bridgerton,
as we all do.
How did we do?
There was, you know, like the string quartet version of like Dancing on My Own by Robin. Something clicked. I was like, the violins in, you know, Yumeji's theme, In the Mood for Love, Robin dancing on my own. And then this
alchemy.
Yeah, something just like exploded in my head. And I'm just like, but I can't do any of this behind a mask.
Wow.
And so I was just like, I'm going to have to be brave and show my face, which like for me at the time was quite a big thing. Like it felt very...
It is monumental. You know, after, especially hearing your story up till this point.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And it's just like, oh my God, they're going to know me. I'm not hiding behind a stage name either. I'm just using my name. Yeah. So I kind of did this Tony Leung thing. And the response that I got to that was just like, it was unlike anything that I'd experienced before. And it came from such a genuine place of like emotion. Like the whole, in creating that, I kind of had to process a lot when it came to like, obviously like being seen as Asian, specifically like Eastern Asian, starting to slowly sexualize myself in a way that wasn't the way gay men sexualize Asian men. It was like all of these things that you maybe don't see in the final product, but to get there, you have to kind of, you know, do all this stuff like behind the scenes.
And unlearn.
And unlearn, exactly. And the fact that I'm presenting as an Asian man is the underlying political statement.
It is radical to just be yourself as someone Asian who's been repressed for so long. And I think even just doing Eastern Honeys, it's, for me personally, I've curated my whole online career until this point, and it felt terrifying in season 1 to even speak on things and say white men. We were fetishized in our teens and things because it's so, I was so used to just like, I just CBA to like deal. Where we are in life like requires us to be open. Yeah.
I was talking to my friend, shout out Charlie, a friend of the pod, like watches and listens, love Charlie. They're genderqueer and trans. They grew up in the church, and I grew up in the church, and a lot of...
Which church?
Oh, Roman Catholic. We were just like unpacking like why we're so considerate of other people. And we're like, why is this? And it is because my default is caregiving. And I really love that about myself. I'm a very caring person. But sometimes it can be like, I'm like, no, let people also take care of you. And I definitely think Filipinos are so warm, kind, and caring because of that, like, early, maybe like religious programming in a sense. But like we are taught from a very young age to be obedient and subservient and putting others before ourselves. But it took me like ages to like kind of like unlearn that behavior and to learn my boundaries.
It is a village-based mindset as well, whereas you move to the UK and it becomes really individualistic. Yeah. And so it's like trying to take the best of both and apply it in whatever way is comfortable for you. But it's hard when you're like moving through cultural layers and like you said earlier, unlearning.
And it takes a while.
Really? Like I connect so much to that. I think it's called kapwa.
Oh, yes.
You know, that kind of... Right. You know, you're there for each other. You uplift each other. It's, collective mindset, collective caregiving. And then when you move here, you move to the West, it's just like, but did you do it by yourself? Did you ask for help? And it's just like, oh, what? You know, but everything takes a village, you know.
Shout out to the crew.
Finding that balance of just like, no, but I do need to take time for me, care about me, so that I can go out and care for others.
I mean, we've watched Hollywood do a complete 180 on the perception of Asian men, right, in very recent years. And your new project, Monsieur Sweet and Sour, engages with cinematic tropes. So can you just tell us about that?
So again, this is something that I've had in the back of my head for years. Romeo and Juliet, Tristan and Isolde story set in like misc Asian underworld. Like it's such a trope in like Western cinema where it's just like, you know, and now we're going to go to like the opium den. You see what I mean?
Not Limehouse, not Shadwell.
Like shout out Opium Wars, famously started by Britain. I'm coming for you, colonizers.
Not colonialism, please.
We made it through 30 minutes. Yeah.
It's like that Scooby-Doo meme where it's just like, aha, it was you, colonizers. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so like taking like kind of that location trope and then the like evil Asian man kind of thing, and always having, you know, like the triads or like the Yakuza as like antagonists. Yeah. A faceless horde of, these kind of like menacing,
disposable,
Yeah.
sinister. Yeah.
And it's just
Masculine men with sunglasses on.
right, exactly, kind of like suits, but the ties are like this, and they just have like a
Okay, West Side Story.
yeah. And it's just like, but like, who are these characters? Like, what brought them to this? Yeah, exactly. Kind of like, zooming in on that like background person. And I was like, oh, like, maybe some of it is this kind of like, like yaoi kind of influence where it's just like, what if these like Yakuza members were to like make out?
Wow.
It's like all of these like these layerings of like fantasies that I've never been able to express outside of my own head. And so through this other like side project that a friend of mine started, the Dragon BoiZ. Shout out Dragon BoiZ.
I'm obsessed.
Isabella's obsessed.
I was on Instagram just like, oh my God, this is good.
Like that ties into, sorry, tangent, ties into this like rise in the social and sexual capital of Asian men.
Yes.
Where it's just like, we need to like jump on this bandwagon.
Natural commodification of our people.
Yeah, exactly. Through that, I met another like Asian diaspora person who like, we just kept getting mistaken for each other because we're both like, most of like all of the Dragon BoiZ were basically the same height. We all have like similar sort of skin tones or like same like shade spectrum, black hair. But then because this other person also had a mustache and like eyebrows, like even in our rehearsal videos, it was just like, we can't even tell each other apart.
Okay, girls' generation.
Right. So like, what? Like, these formations of like swapping in and out. It's just like, wait, where did I learn to be in two places at once? But specifically that evoking of like the uncanny.
Yeah. I was going to say shadow self.
Yeah. And also just like, white people just mistake you for the other Asian.
Yeah.
So all of these kind of like things were brewing into this perfect storm. And then like with this other guy just made this double act. It's very much about like this like shifting power dynamic between these two villains. We're both, the backstory to these two characters is that they're like obviously like both assassins, deadly like misc gang member kind of things.
Gang member #1.
Yeah, exactly. But, like their love is a forbidden romance. And they get to this point within the larger story where they undress for each other. And this is all like a very like meta thing because, it's a piece of like striptease entertainment. Like the audience are obviously watching this thing happen, even though it's a private moment between these two men. The audience is getting like, like if you were talking about it with James Kai Wei when he was talking about Few Body Problem, which I was also working on.
Oh, okay, damn.
Were you a misc body that melted?
I wasn't. I was a stand-in for one of the Asian actors.
Wow.
I swear this film production was just like, please call like every single Asian in the UK ASAP, book them now for the next 3 months.
My brother was on it. My brother was in the opening sequence. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So yeah, I was the stand-in for the like one of the actors in that sequence.
Yeah, the beginning.
It was so bizarre because the other stand-in that I was in is Chinese like cultural historian, and she was just like, that is the wrong font to be using for this period. This would never happen. They wouldn't be speaking, they wouldn't shout this in this way. And I was like, ooh, I mean, I can't comment on any of that because obviously I'm not Chinese, but I'm just like,
So was the production not like on point with the cultural nuances?
No, they mustn't have had like a proper like cultural liaison or like historical person like for that period.
Right.
Because again, I was talking to my friend Dan. Shout out Dan. She's just like, you don't even need to dig that deep to know that like that font didn't exist at that time. Or
they're like, that'll do. It's exotic.
They're just like chopstick font.
Not the takeaway font. Not papyrus.
Not papyrus on the banners and like, oh God.
That's crazy. Like a World War II flick that
had a lot of budget.
Can you imagine that a British one would never fly if it was the wrong font or...
Because there would be someone doing their homework.
Yeah.
But anyway, with James talking about the Asian male body in its most visible form, i.e. naked, I was like, how do I make a piece of work where it's this, you know? How do we lead to like a satisfying like narrative climax where we end up with two very naked Asian men? And I was like, okay, like a love story, kind of like burlesque, striptease, formal choreographic elements onto that, elements of like tango and that kind of like sensual, like, like push and pull. The response to it, like people were so moved. Had this old couple, they came up to me after one of the performances and they're just like, that's the most like emotional thing I've ever seen. And they were like an old white British couple.
Oh.
There was something about like that, this thing in my head that connected and like transcended this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like that kind of gave me the confidence to be like, okay, well, that's just like a little bit of this story that I had imagined. You know, I've got more. And so that just kind of like sat in my head for a few months last year. And like, you know, now with the way that the world is going and with like Year of the Snake, I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to make the rest of this work. And so I'm already R&Ding another chapter of this story. I've written out the whole story. These two lovers, it ends in tragedy because, again, referencing the bury your gaze trope. Spoiler alert, but also it's not a spoiler because it's, yes, we know the destination, but in this case, it's very much about the journey. Asian men as villains, the kind of re-sexualizing of the like nude Asian male body. There's also this layer of like a femme fatale, like femme fatales play into this. This whole thing, it kind of has this like neo-noir flavor.
Love that.
Oh,
Can't wait to watch.
Same. Yeah.
yes, I'd love you to be there, to see it, to feel, to like experience this thing, because hopefully by this time next year, I will have been able to perform the whole show in small acts. And I'd like to be able to have the whole thing presented as a singular piece of cabaret theater. Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm very happy with the way my life has turned out. I have no regrets. I feel like this will be the thing that I leave in the world that
I was proud of.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like, what statement. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, please, universe, like, don't fuck things up for me now.
How do you bring your Filipino-ness into these projects?
Again, I'd say it's like with the Asianness and the masculinity, it's like, it's always just there. I've kind of passed this point of like explicitly referencing like, hi, by the way, I'm Asian. I'm also Filipino.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. Like, oh my God. I have this one cabaret act, which is, it's this act where it's set up like a pageant, like I'm a pageant contestant. I'm like, you know, Mr. Philippines, and I've got like this sash and this like, you know, headdress, this whole like feathery situation. It's camp as hell. Again, like referencing Philippines' connection to pageant culture, but like we never see men in that context.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to make this act about like specifically like a Mr. Philippines like pageant thing, like trying to showcase like this really deep part of Philippine culture, which is, you know, like the Philippine eagle, like the prized status of that as a national animal. You know, I'm going to present to you like the mating dance of this majestic, beautiful bird. And then it's just like 2.5 minutes of me doing like stupid, sexy, like Magic Mike, kind of like, you know, choreography to Slow by Kylie Minogue. And then at the end, like becoming like a full eagle fantasy, but then not even kind of doing anything like big and like complex and theatrical. I just like, It's just like building up expectation to just like subvert it and go the other way. But in that way, like the Filipino-ness isn't like, look, Philippines, like using traditional Philippine dress or dancing to like singkil or what's that? The tinikling. Yeah, exactly. Where it's just like, that would have been too on the nose. And then using like Kylie's stupid like camp like reference, but in that way being like, no, I am going to occupy this space that normally like white gaze as in GAYS.
Yeah, I always have to say when I'm referencing either or.
Yeah. Yeah, where it's just like, I'm going to occupy this space. I'm going to use that music because like, you know, music transcends race and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like you don't have ownership over her just because she's white and you're white. It's just like, I enjoy the music. I specifically fucking love this song, so I'm going to do it. And I'm going to make it my own.
Mm.
Yeah, and a lot of what I do now is also that strategy where it's just like, you've only ever seen white men or white people embodying this trope. Now you're going to have 5 Asian hotties, you know, being 5 Baywatch lifeguards or, you know, 5 stupid office himbos. It's just like, yeah.
Speaking upon the notion of pageantry and performance within Filipino culture, is it something about Filipinos that are just inherently queer?
100%. I mean, you just have to like go out into the street and like the last time I was there, I think like 2021 or 22. Anyway, like fairly recently, I was just kind of like walking through Manila, and then just like at every single tricycle stand, there's like a karaoke machine, just like a little speaker. Sometimes they'd have like the TV as well, you know, with the words, and just like these people like belting out
Celine Dion.
Yeah, Celine Dion, Frank Sinatra, you know, like OPM. And I'm just like, damn, like we're very like performance ready as a culture. Every day, like tricycle driver with this incredible voice, or these like, you know, random shoppers in SM or Robinsons just like walking by with their shopping and then, you know, being like, ate, like come sing a song. And she's like, oh God, do I have to? And it's just like, what?
Do you know what I love about that? It's like the complete willingness to rip the band-aid off and wear your heart on your sleeve just for 3 minutes, and then they'll pick up their shopping bag and walk off. And balance.
They're like,
can't afford therapy.
maybe that. Maybe that's interesting.
Yeah. Like is specifically you said in the first episode, like, oh, one of my favorite things about like being Filipino is that we're just like here wilding out in our chinelas. And I'm just like, that's true. You know, like in any scene, like family life or whatever, you just kind of like, what's happening there? Like zoom in on that. And it's just like a little family drama between like people, but like the expressiveness, like, you know, the physicality of it, it's so big. Like the vocals, you know, they're giving, you know, it's like this Renaissance painting of
someone in a duster with a
yeah. And I'm just like, even though that's not a performance, there's something about taking up that much space with your body, with your voice, the complete like surrender and abandon to a feeling, whether that's anger, you know, passion, love, whatever. It's one of those things, like as soon as I landed back here, you know, suddenly everyone's just like, sorry, oh, sorry, oh, sorry. Just like, oh, pardon me. Yeah. Like there's this apology culture. I'm just like, I'm so grateful to have that.
Oh, same.
And, you know, because, okay, so I grew up religious, but Mormon. So very like restrained. It's nowhere near as like pageantry adjacent as like Catholicism, where again, there's like, like it's giving like production value. Like, you know, the one where they like walk through the roads with like the cross and like the whipping.
Thinking of that, like the incense. Yeah.
It's like high drag.
It's drama.
Yeah, and again, like the complete surrender to that, to what the work needs, you know, like these like wailing aunties, you know, this guy fully just like, you know, like
Not City.
yeah, just like the whole world is a stage and you really feel that there.
My therapist is always like, stop asking why. Sometimes it's just be, like, just let it happen. I'm like, why are we like this? Why are we so expressive and like performative? And I don't like, is it because like of religious and cultural constraints and we're so performative because it's our release, like you mentioned earlier in the pod? Or is it because, yeah, we are just, the sun is just sunning and like adobo is adoboing. Yeah. And tita is titaing. Yeah.
Chanela's are Chanela's. I used to ask that a lot, but then I like flipped it around and I'm just like, no, but why are
they fucking repressed?
Fuck. I never thought about it like that.
In Africa, they are very expressive. In other cultures, Caribbean, island cultures,
exactly like warm weather places, they're just like
wilding out in their chanellas. Yeah.
You got like no time to be, you know, fucking around with like, why am I feeling? It's like you just feel the thing.
Yeah. If you're listening to this pod / episode, you're missing Duane's amazing like movements, physicality. Like, I think the way you storytell with your hands are so mesmerizing to me. Can you share like how you got into voguing and like your work with Dragon BoiZ? Because as an avid like voguing stan, I have watched many YouTube videos trying to learn. Doesn't hit. So please share.
So I initially got into voguing through wrestling.
Damn.
Obviously, because yeah, like it was just one of those things where through lucha libre wrestling, extremely camp, performative, big, expressive, I was finding that my natural physicality was lending itself quite well to like dance. And then when I told one of my colleagues, she was just like, oh, like, why don't you try taking some dance classes? And I was like, I don't know, like they're really intense and, you know, people get really like, cha cha, kukaka, you know, boom boom pa. Don't know if I can take it that seriously. She's just like, Duane, shut up and do it. Go to this voguing class. She was very just like, this is the thing, go to this thing. And I was like, oh, okay, Sophia. Shout out, Sophia. You have no idea how much you've changed my life. I mean, I tell her whenever I can, but also just like tell people how important they are. Give them their roses. Love you, Sophia. Anyway, Sophia was just like, Duane, go Vogue. I don't want to hear about it. Just go. So I went, paid my £8 or whatever to do this voguing class. I'd never experienced so much fear in my life.
Why?
Again, it was just like confronting this like deep-seated like conditioned thing where it's just like your body does not move like this. And it wasn't even like, it was like I could hear that voice very just like, no. And your body would like lock into a trauma. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. Because the teacher wasn't even teaching like performance voguing. So none of the like stuff with arms or any of the more like flamboyant sort of movements. It was just like, we're going to do runway. We're going to walk from here to there. But like give confidence. And it seemed like such a simple instruction, but I found out very quickly that it's so much more difficult than it sounds. And also because this particular dance studio that we were at, it was one of those like big ones with like the glass all around. Yeah. And then the class afterwards was like, I think like hip hop choreography. And so you can imagine there are all these like really like masculine, like,
masks. Yeah.
you know, just like staring in through the window, like waiting for the class to begin. And I'm just like, oh my God, they're all looking at me. Like, obviously they're not looking at there's like loads of us, but then also they're just like looking, just their eyes are just open. Yeah. Yeah. They also just like don't care. But in that moment, you're just like, oh, you know, like, just, I was like, I need to get out of here like right now. But then there was this like other like tiny voice was just like, you know, Duane, like, girl, you've paid your £8. Just like, like, you don't have to be the best. Just get from here to there. You've got like 15 minutes. Like, what is the worst that can happen? And so I just like listened to that voice, did the thing. I was definitely terrible because obviously, like, there were all these other people who had obviously taken that class, who take that class weekly, who were just like, now's my time. And I'm just like, oh, they're so obnoxious. Like, I hate them so much. And then, like, when I left, I literally just like Looney Tunes out of that building, like, so quickly. But then I was like, okay, no, I'm like, what just happened? What was that about? Why did my body do this? And then I just like, again, kept going back. I decided to go back and be like, okay, there's something that I want to break through. That wasn't how I framed it to myself. I was just like, it really frustrated me that I couldn't do that thing. And so I just decided to go back. And then the next time it was a lot easier. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm still like, you know, not looking up. I'm still, my hips are still very square. It's such a like, you know, male coded thing that like your hips are locked. They don't have the same, yeah, exactly. They don't have that like spice. And so I just like kept going back, building up confidence. And it just, you know, it starts with the walk, but then it then moves up into the rest of your body. You know, you have to kind of like take up more space with, you know, it's not just out here, it's up here. It's using all of these different levels. Voguing is such a, like, and I use this term like with endearment, it's such an obnoxious dance form, like in the best way, where it's just like, yes, like I'm a queer person of color. I am going to take up this much space.
And it's so, like, it's a, I think it's just, as a performance, it's just so like rooted in like queer culture and history, tradition and legacy. It's so loaded.
Exactly. And so in the same way that, you know, certain cultural practices like invoke history and like pay homage to like ancestors and ancestry, like I really started to see voguing, and I very much still see voguing as a, like it's a folk practice. You're not always related by blood to the people who came before you, but you know, you are part of a legacy of trailblazers, specifically Black trans women who created this space, found their worth, found the people who like lifted them to the top of this society, this culture. And, you know, it's reverberated through history into what it is now. And so when I think, like I don't do a lot of voguing nowadays. I'm not so involved with the London ballroom scene as much as I'd like to, just because capitalism, you know, the hustle. But it's like there's that little voice that was just like, Duane, you've paid your £8, just do it. That voice is my voice now, you know. It's just like, girl, like, what are you doing? That, and the way that's like kind of like breathed into my physicality, that sense of like, I really feel like I'm being inflated by this thing, specifically when I kind of like channel that like ballroom body. You have to take up space.
And you have to say it with your chest. Otherwise the performance doesn't hit.
Exactly. And you have to like look those judges in the eyes and be just like, I am fab. You are going to pick me because I'm better than that bitch down there. Yeah, she's down there. I'm up here. Right. yeah, you really have to sit with what you've done, like claim your performance. And so now when I go into like other movement practices or other performance spaces, I still channel that same, just like, I am fab, and what?
That actually leads us quite nicely to our next question about Dragon BoiZ with a Z. Love.
Dragon BoiZ.
Oh my God, was that on purpose? Dragon BoiZ.
So shout out Andy, who came up with that name. Love you, Andy, and other Filipino diaspora. Yeah, literally. You know, we were just like, oh, like, what do we call this thing? I mean, I won't say the name that I suggested because it's so corny and lame. But anyway, he was like, oh, what if we call ourselves like Dragon Boy, BoiZ, like capital Z, like Dragon BoiZ? But like Andy's so good with wordplay and that kind of humor. And we're just like, oh, that's the one. And like I was saying earlier with the subverting tropes, we've seen white men be sexy and attractive and, like, topless. Lord knows how many times, especially in gay culture and queer culture, white gays are centered so many times in the conversation. They're always a stand-in for like queer and like
So not the white boy default in the queer space as well.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, we're going to fill that space, but with our bodies. It's similarly that thing of like, we don't always explicitly like step onto the stage and we're just like, hi, 5 Asian guys here. It's like, yeah, people have eyes, people like those who are, of seeing ability, like they can see. And so like, we don't need to shout that out. We're just there to be hot and stupid.
You're allowed to be.
And there's literally nothing more serious than that, which I think is hilarious. Like, I mean, this is very much Pete Gargett. Shout out, Pete. This is Pete's project that he brought us all on board with. He's just like, I want to do this thing like, Magic Mike boy band, but like with 5 Asian guys. That's how he sold it to us.
Love. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
And I was just like, okay. But like, the theoretical cultural angle, like obviously like trying to Capricorn and like deep this whole thing, that really didn't need to be that deep. He's just like, no, it's just like this commercial thing. Yeah, just like us being hot. And I'm just like, I've never really seen myself in that. I'm not trying to be like self-deprecating or like fishing for compliments, but like I've never thought that I could take up that space. But yeah, like Pete just had us doing these antics, rehearsing this act. And then again, the response to our initial performance was like unreal. Like literally like aunties throwing panties.
Yes. I mean, whoa.
So actually, like my mum and I saw you perform at the Bitten Peach, and I was just like gagged.
Wait, which one was this?
At the Halloween special, when you dressed as a priest, and then you did a reveal, and you were like,
"Oh my God!" Yeah.
Did your mum enjoy it?
My mum loved it. She wants to take my dad.
I mean, sure, like
Family friendly.
Yeah. There's something for everyone. Your dad is of legal age to be in that space, and yeah.
How do you bring yourself into these traditionally very masculine spaces? Like film sets are so masculine coded and Caucasian. Yeah, can you just tell us about how you navigate those spaces?
Yeah, again, when I was first kind of making my way into film, and even with like the wrestling, it was very much just like, I have to like not be seen. I've got to like camouflage, almost like go back in the closet, just like feeling this strain that puts on your body. Like it literally, at the end of the day, you have cramps because it's just like, you're so like this. I would just be like, you know what, like slowly but surely just like not caring and just showing up, to these jobs, being like calling people like baby girl. Yeah, exactly. And just like seeing the response that people have to that, like especially like I developed quite strong bonds with costume and hair and makeup people.
That happens for some reason.
Yeah, because especially with makeup people, it's just like they're just like up in people's faces all day. Just like, oh, so like how's your day? Oh, how'd you get? And I'm just like, I really feel for them that they just have to have these like nothing conversations.
But also, adversely, it's like really deep conversations in the makeup chair.
From 0 to 100, like so quickly. And so just seeing how they would respond to my more kind of like this side of me, which is just like, hi, like, like, how's it going? Just like entering the room, like just filling it with brightness and joy. And then just like leaving it better than when you left. I was just like, you know what? Why aren't I bringing that to like, wrestling training or to like the gym or to Miss Guy Ritchie production? Again, oh my God, I was the Gentleman. I was
Stand-in for.
I was a nude body double for the Asian guy. I was his nude body double.
Wow.
Yeah, so the scene where Vinny kind of like finds him in the forest, that's my butt, you guys.
Oh, we've seen your bum.
Yes. Yeah, my reputation precedes me. Yeah, I was like in a trailer with Vinnie Jones, who is like the loveliest guy. Plot twist. Yeah, I was kind of getting, what's the word? Like dirtied up, because obviously I'm like found in the woods. And so I'm just like there in my underwear whilst these like people are just like, and I hear this like booming voice from behind me, and he's like, "Oh, what a beautiful sight!" And I'm like, "Oh," and I just like, I turn around. It's just like Vinnie Jones with like a smile on his face, being like, "Oh, good morning," and I'm just like, "Oh my God, like what is my life?" So yeah, I just bring myself. I kind of lean into the more kind of like bright side of me. And when I feel the energy getting more butch, I just zag the other way, which like, thank God for ballroom kind of like taught me that there are like, no matter how feminine you think you are or you can be, there's always more. And that's the thing to be like, prized. Like in ballroom, like it's a complete topsy-turvy. Like, the femmes and like trans women, they're at the top. And so like it's the highest form of compliment to call someone cunt.
Yeah, and fish.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, because like the cunt is from whence all life has emerged. And so kind of like leaning into more of that side of me, like when I'm in full 3.5 hour orc prosthetics, and all these guys just like, I'm just there, just like, morning girls.
I literally said to Iz, I was like, I used to be terrified of orcs, but if I'd known you're just there making metal in the back, I'd be...
Slay.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. And like the few like little scenes where I was actually like visible, actually like made it into Rings of Power season 2. We shall soon be returning to season 3. But yeah, and so they kind of specifically on Rings of Power, the team really responded to my energy. And they're just like, Duane, can we have you like come in and do like the friend and family days, like for the cast and crew, where like every month they open the set up to kind of like friends and family, and they can have a tour and have like a photo on set, like on a bit of the set with like one of the, orcs. And I was she. I was, and so like I would just make a whole show out of it, where it's just like, because the prosthetics take so long, sometimes we'd be delayed and there'd be like a queue of people. And so to get past that whole like, oh God, I'm sorry for being late. I'm just like, you know what? turn it into an entrance, I was just like, with my ADs, just like, oh, can you just like go ahead of me, and like do this whole thing and like clear a space, like announce me, like turn it into like a whole cabaret show. And then I would just like enter and just like, derobe and be like, oh, and just like walk, like not say a single word, but just like sashay down and be like, I'm here, suffer.
Oh my God, we need to go to this
Friends and Family Day.
Oh my God, yes, 100. I'll put you down as like my sisters.
Yes, please. We're his sisters, yeah.
And so they would have this like, this little piece of the set that's, just like, dark and gloomy, like weapons everywhere and like, fire. And I'm just there like, reclining with my Bitten Peach fan, just like, oh, like doing splits and like high kicks and
dips.
Literally, and again, the reception from the crowd, because it becomes a crowd. Yeah. They're just like, oh my God, can you like do that again? Let's take a picture.
That's so fun. Yeah. Subverting ideas and just being a bit more free.
Yeah, exactly. And it sort of gives a lot of the men permission to like
loosen up.
Yeah.
What?
And to quote Jason Kwan, like sometimes it's all about taking your clothes off stage and just having a good time.
Literally, like it's not deep, not that deep.
Thank you so much, Duane, for this like illuminating, healing. I feel like I got like a performance with you sat right opposite me. It was amazing. Highs, lows, dips, drag, it had it all. And also Filipino-ness. So to wrap up all the like wonderful stories you shared on this episode, if you were to write a love letter to diaspora, what would it say?
Distinguished panel of judges, if I were to write a love letter to the diaspora, I would say wear sunscreen, deep cut, like obviously queerness, like sub-references. This would be, I'm thinking more like if I were to meet myself.
Yes.
What would I have said to myself like as a child? And so it just clicked. I was really obsessed with this one song, like Baz Luhrmann song from Romeo and Juliet.
I'm Kissing You, Desiree?
Huh?
Which one?
Oh, I mean, that too, I'm Kissing You from by Desiree. But no, this particular song was Everybody's Free.
The dance.
But Prince, is it?
No.
Everybody's free. That one.
Yeah, that was sampled in this song, Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen. I know it's such a like obscure reference. But yeah, basically this song took the prose from an article that a woman had written as a valedictorian speech in the Chicago Herald Tribune in 1997 or something. I have a very specific like spotlight memory of very specific things. Like I can't remember what I had for dinner last night, but I can remember this like one thing. But so it was this valedictorian speech where she was like, ladies and gentlemen of the class of 1997, that thing of just like summing up experience and like giving advice to the next generation. And this article was basically just like, you know what? I don't know shit about shit. The world changes all the time. Friends come and go. Like, stay close to your family. I'm really paraphrasing because it's like, it's such a beautiful piece of writing. She bookends this article by being like, the one thing I do know is that the benefits of wearing sunscreen are just like indisputable, whilst the rest of what I have to say is just like has no basis other than my own meandering experience. And so there are these lines that are, enjoy your body, like celebrate it, don't worry what anyone thinks about it. It's the best instrument you'll ever own, like dance, even if you have nowhere to do it, then your own living room. Do it anyway, like feel the fear, do it anyway. Do not read beauty magazines, they'll only ever make you feel ugly. It's all of these things, beautiful pieces of like everyday life advice that I remember listening to this and being like, why is this, like, I can't describe, like, why is this affecting me so much? Why would someone say these things? Not like, why would they say these things? But it just made me think that, is life going to be hard? And like life was really like it.
Take a minute.
And so in telling the diaspora, in telling my younger self, like, wear sunscreen, it's just a reference to this like deep well of advice from not just this one woman and this one song, but like ancestral knowledge, you know, your elders, saying just like, if I could do it all over again, I would do this. I would do this differently. I would do this the same. And yeah, I would just tell myself, you know, all of those things, and that it was all worth it. It is worth it. There is always a way. We as Filipinos, like, we're extremely resourceful. We find a way. You know, we make it happen. You make it happen. You.
Duane, your energy, your movement, your brilliance, it's been a blessing. Your artistry, the mic is slipping down with you. Tell the people where they can find you, how they can support, what shows you have coming up, etc.
So you can find me everywhere at Duane Nasis. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. Yes, if you go to my Instagram, I do have a link tree with all of my upcoming gigs. Yeah, and say hi and ingat.
Yeah. Oh my God, you closed the show for us. Yeah. Maraming salamat to our kabayan for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Honestly, the support is incredible. We see you, we hear you, and we're doing it for you, and we're doing it for us. So please share to your tito, tita, ninang, ninong. But anyway, we'll see you in the next episode. Maraming salamat.